Voilà, il s'agit de ce mur.
Ouais, ça ne creux, y a aucun doute. Fais-toi plaisir, Thorsten.
Ça y est, j'ai fait un trou.
Attendez voir que je jette un coup d'œil.
He was chosen for the part first.
That was a year before I came on board. They were like casting, like auditioning for a year with much older guys than me.
Okay.
Because in the books, he's an older guy than I am. And after a year, my manager heard about it, and she's actually the reason why I was. A year later, she said, "I really think you should take a meeting with this director." And I had a meeting with the director, and Mikkel, I loved him straight away. That is rare, that you feel something that you really connect with. And you felt the same about Mikkel when you met him. But then, from then on, he said, "I want to have you in the films." And then we kind of tried to figure out what kind of sidekick he would have. And that was, from the get-go, Mikkel, the director, had an idea about Faris, even though he was Swedish and didn't speak the language. But we did a lot of auditions with others, with another ethnic background, but he couldn't give up his first love, which was you. So you had to learn Danish, and you were doing.
I had to learn Danish, yeah, because like when the first I heard about the project, I didn't know about the author. I hadn't heard about Mikkel Norgård, our first director, or his films, The Clown. I knew about the films, but I hadn't seen them. And I was in LA, and then a Swedish producer talked to me and said, Louisa, the Danish producer, is looking for you. And they said, finally I took a Skype meeting with Mikkel Norgård, and he was just great. And I knew that Nikolaj was going to be in the film. I knew about Nikolaj. I was a big fan of Nikolaj, and Centropa Films, of course. So that I went to Denmark, and we did a chemistry test, you can say. And after that, it was just kind of like.
How did that work? How did that go?
I think it went well. I think we ended up making 4 films, actually.
No, but the test itself.
No, we
was
were
a tough scene. I remember.
We were having dinner the first night, and then the second day we did. I think it was the first scene in the film, the first film.
Right.
That's the one we started with, which is a weird scene to do
Yeah.
a chemistry test with.
It is.
Because it's about your character being
Completely
very
off.
off with my character.
Yeah.
So it's a weird chemistry test scene, but if you
course.
can, I guess if you can do that, then you have it.
But that was not that night. We were looking each other in the eyes and saying, 4 films.
4
Really?
films. It was a hard decision actually to make, to sign for 4 films. Mixing actors, Swedish and Danish actors, is still not that common. It's happening a little bit more now than it used to be, but it's still not that common because the languages are very different. Even though it's based on the same kind of like old Nordic language, it's different. So people don't really understand, Swedes don't understand Danish, and Danes don't understand Swedish really. So it's not that much of a mix-up as you would hope. I mean, I think that the Scandinavia as a whole would benefit from if we all watched all our films together. But Danish films, I have to say, have been like big, but like art house big in Sweden for a long time, and I guess maybe the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo maybe in Denmark, and that kind of film like Easy Money in Denmark.
Right, exactly.
when I first read the script, I had a huge problem with how the character was. I thought he was one-dimensional, and I haven't read all the books, but I read the first one and parts of the second one, and I thought the character in the books is really one-dimensional, and it's been like a broad brushstrokes. We never met the author ever throughout these 4 films, and we had a lot of discussions with the director and with each other about how we want to do these characters. So there were a lot of changes throughout the films with the character. We, also talk with the screenwriter as well.
There was a big backstory to the whole project before we were attached to the project, between the writer and the author, and how they wanted to do the whole thing. And I think that's the good thing about being actors and being objective about the whole thing. We can choose what to take from the initial story. I've read the books. I thought that was, for me, important. You take what you can use, of course, and it's just so hard to take everything from the books that you like and put it into the movie. I think you have 400 pages in a book, and you wanted to put it down to 100 pages. That is a problem in itself. I think we had a really good scriptwriter on this whole project, and he did a fantastic job and focused on concentrating what is the key to the story, the plot and the relationship.
Ça y est, je l'ai lu, ta lettre de recommandation.
Oui. Ça va pas?
Attends, Assad travaille avec moi au département V depuis 2013. J'ai toujours été satisfait de son travail. Karl Mork. Vraiment, Karl? Au bout de 5 ans, c'est tout ce que tu trouves à dire?
The thing is also, it's just like a TV show. You can't really spill your guts completely. You have to hold your cards all the time and say, at this point, I can give this card. Next time, maybe, if the time is right and everything is perfect, I can show another. And that is why it was so fulfilling to do the last film, because we could just show all the cards this time, and there was nothing to hide this time. And that was a relief in terms of being an actor, because to be so secretive all the time, as I have been with Carl, not showing anything, not telling anything, just being grumpy, self-absorbed, and hopefully still hope that people could relate to the characters, can at some point become just like a drag.
Tu le crois, toi? Quand il dit qu'il regrette d'avoir pratiqué ses IVG?
Pourquoi il regretterait? Moi aussi, j'ai cautionné une IVG.
Quoi? Tu m'en as jamais parlé?
On n'a pas vraiment eu l'occasion d'en parler.
C'était avec Viga? Pourquoi elle a avorté?
Parce qu'elle en avait déjà un, c'était suffisant. Ça fait de moi un assassin?
Non, mais je trouve que c'est bien que les enfants vivent.
Avec moi comme père? Aucun enfant mérite ça.
It's pretty big budgets for being Scandinavian films, and because Centropa was involved, and Nikolaj, and also Mikkel, and our screenwriter as well, Nikolaj Arcel, I thought it was going to be definitely a quality, at least ambition of quality about the film. So, but the idea that these films were going to be this big, also outside of Scandinavia, I don't think I guessed it. And it's kind of a pleasant surprise,
The ingredients was there.
Yeah.
And I was thinking at that time the rating in terms of ticket sale in Denmark was really, really low, and even successful stuff, usual common mainstream films didn't pan out. It didn't work. It didn't sell, and all of a sudden it was really there was a gap in the market, and all of a sudden we did this film, and we blew off the roof. Actually, with the ticket
Yeah.
sale. I was really honestly surprised. But I hoped, of course, every time I hoped for the best, and everything was there to do.
You
good.
never know.
You never know.
Even if the recipe is looks good on paper, but you never know. You know what I mean?
Not again.
Not again. Yeah.
I think we
No. Yeah. Go ahead.
we knew that this was the last one. This was. We have always tried to get more and more of Carl and Assad into the story. I mean, their relationship, but there was a plot we have to respect and everything. And this time we could actually say that this is where we can make some closure with these characters and make them kind of meet their problems straight away. And for my part, it was. Like we can make some closure with Carl that is always saying that he doesn't need people around him, and doesn't need anyone. This was the first time we could actually do something with that issue, and therefore this was, of course, much more interesting to approach.
Yeah, I mean, you walk into a project, you've been working on it for like 6 years basically, and you walk in and you know that this is the final chapter, and it was when Louisa said that it was going to be Christopher Bull. Our producer Louisa said that it's going to be Christopher Bull that will direct the film. It was just amazing. It was like, yeah, we're going to end it on a good note with a great director, and this is us saying goodbye to the audience and to our work, you know, and to the characters with these projects.
I love the fact that these films are fiction. I mean, we're like recreating how we think a police environment would be, how a crime story would be. We are kind of like archetypes in terms of the way Carl looks, for instance, and the way they talk, the way they behave in the environment altogether. That is something you have to agree on from the beginning. Everyone has to say, this is how we work. If we have to tell the story visually, we also have to take the time to do this. This time we knew that we had the funding, we had the money to actually take a basic like crime story and up it in a way that we have never seen before. At least we couldn't afford in Denmark to do before. And this time we actually had the funding to do that. And that takes time, of course. There's a lot of waiting around. We have to focus on telling the story in so many layers instead of just being on the characters themselves.
Our producer that have been like the force and the power behind these films, there's no way around it. I mean, she got the rights for the book, I think, from the beginning. Mm-hmm. And then Mikkel Norgard, our first director, he's very much set the tone together with her a lot, and with the help of us for some stuff. And we have the same screenwriter in all four films. And so, but after that, when Mikkel, he did 2 films only, it was Louisa, our producer, that was looking. She was looking for the other directors and stuff like that. So of course, it's kind of like if you want to put it that way, it's kind of like a producer-driven kind of saga, yeah.
On a l'identité de la dernière victime, une prostituée du nom de Rita Nielsen, portée disparue par une maison close en 2006 à Fioni.
Et la piste de l'île de Sprog?
J'ai trouvé aucun procès contre Sprog dans lequel Philippe Nervig ait été avocat. Peut-être que c'est sa veuve qui fait erreur.
Il faut qu'on fasse une liste de tous les employés qui bossaient sur cette île pendant que Guy Techard y était.
Ouais.
En fait, il se passait quoi sur cette île?
Il y avait un foyer pour femmes présentant des problèmes, si.
Ouais, selon les références machistes de cette époque. La vérité, c'est que c'était une prison pour celles que l'État jugeait dépravées. Quand j'étais ado et que je pétais les plombs à tous les coups, mon père me disait « T'as de la chance d'être née à cette époque, Rose, parce que sinon tu serais enfermée à Sprog. » Putain, quel enfoiré.
Nous, on sait pas, on t'a pas connu quand t'étais ado, t'étais peut-être insupportable.
You have to renew it in a way, as at the same time you wanted to respect what is already there. And you can blow it up if you want to, but there has to be a reason for it. And that was something that we discussed a lot. The reason why when you say a producer had been on the concept from the beginning altogether, that is right, but it's very important to say that our producer on these films has a huge heart about all this. She's very emotional about it. This is just not just a crime story for her at all. We are a family. Me, Faris, and Louise, we have been working on this and wanted to make this bigger and more interesting, and that you can only do with someone who's not interested in other than the content. Yeah. So when she found another director, we've discussed how about this director and stuff like that. I think I didn't even think of him because he has been doing a lot of art movies and fantastic visual work, and he has a different taste, I thought, than crime stories. But in a way, to put him into this realm was something that I never would have thought of, and that made it special, like putting a Mentos into a Coca-Cola. Boom.
On connaît la cause du décès?
Overdose de Yosiamus niger, ou jusquiame noir. Initialement, cette plante était utilisée dans les hôpitaux arabes comme anesthésien. On s'en servait aussi dans la fabrication de la bière jusqu'au XVIe siècle. À petite dose, c'est un euphorisant. Si on augmente les doses, ça paralyse le système nerveux central et ça entraîne une mort lente et particulièrement douloureuse. Évidemment, la question est de savoir si les organes génitaux ont été prélevés après que la mort survienne ou...
Ou pendant qu'ils étaient encore en vie?
Ouais. C'est pas une histoire pour enfants.
I'm going to miss them, and I think I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I want to stay in that realm and more than we have. I think there's been moments during these these films where I was looking at it and go like, okay, now we have to find a reason for doing one more.
Yeah.
Because one thing is to do, as you said, a producer kind of film. You want to put your heart into it, otherwise people can tell. You want to do this, really want to tell that story and find that relationship and how can we develop this going on, all that stuff. And that is a task you have to do a stretch sometimes to find that reason. We found that every time, but I remember after the second one I said, now if we have to do it again, there really have to be a reason. And Louise, our producer, actually asked us, do you want to do one more? Because if you don't, we will put it down. We're going to say this is it. And that was really something that I felt like really gave me the freedom to choose and say, we want to do this because we want to tell this story. As long as you feel like you're forced, you can't possibly put your heart into it. And that's the thing that I found like the most liberating thing about doing this film, that we really want to do it when we did it.
But at the same time, it feels like it's done now, you know?
Definitely.
If we miss the characters, it's just going to be like, you know, something positive. It's going to be about our partnership in the films. So we're trying to find something else to work with because we want that to continue. Right. But I would never want to go back and do more of Carl and Assad. I felt it's done. We did it. We ended up on a high note, so it's perfect to kind of like, you know.
But I mean, you were also different in that way. I remember the last day we were filming in Department Q, in the basement. I knew this is not going to be anymore. This has been here for 6 years. Now it's going to be teared down, and I was a bit emotional about that. You didn't give a.
I'm not very nostalgic.
No, you're not.
I mean, you know, you learn. I mean, we've been doing acting since we were like teenagers. So
right.
You learn kind of like you are so involved with so many people for so many projects, and you just can't, you know, emotionally.
Cold as ice. Cold as ice.
I'm just a survivor, man.
You're right. Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Qu'est-ce qui se passe?
Je te rejoins plus tard, toi tu peux y aller.
Tu me dis où tu vas?
Tu fais quoi là?
T'as des infos que tu me caches au sujet de Guy Charles? Pourquoi tu me caches des infos?
Parce que je suis sûr de rien.
Tu te méfies même de moi? T'as plus confiance?
Ok. Lâche-moi, lâche mon bras.
Ah, ça, tu vas me lâcher, merde! Tes trucs en solo, moi j'en ai marre. Maintenant, c'est chacun pour soi.